hospitals close. They're going to have people getting kicked off their healthcare, and they're going to have people just die, or they're going to have people who don't get preventative care, and they're going to come into the hospital, and then that we, the taxpayer, are going to be footing that bill when it's much, much more expensive because they have, botulism or something. I don't like that. I think that's going to affect me. It's going to affect our tax dollars, and I would rather that thing not be cut, or the cancer research or the disease research. I think all of these things are going to affect you or me on a personal day-to-day basis. And he's weakening those institutions in a way I'm not a fan of.
So I spent 17 years in healthcare, working with hospitals.
Okay.
And my daughter had cancer. So I know all about the research, lived there, done that, been there, done that.
Okay. Sorry to hear that.
She's better now. It's all good.
Oh, well, awesome.
Hey, you know what? It's you celebrate the victory, right? But
yeah.
we weren't guaranteed an outcome. But in working for 17 years with hospitals, one of the things that will blow your mind is that very much it is, and 17 years, and I worked on the business side of the hospitals. I worked mainly on the administration side. The things that most people have no clue about those hospitals would absolutely blow their mind. Like the fact that you can see teams of people literally doing claim submissions and knowing that it's going to get denied within the 30 days because the rules are for those companies that they can take that amount of time to deny the claim. Yep. And then they give you medicine advice and they say, hey, here's all the change, or they give you claim advice and say, hey, it was denied. And then you have to re-go through it, and then you resubmit, and then they can take another X number of weeks.
Yeah.
Well, when you have hundreds of billions of dollars sitting in an account, that extra 45 days that you're going to get of interest on that money makes a difference, right?
Yeah, this is like the whole Luigi thing, the delay. If you delay this, even if at the end you do pay out, because I am investing that money, I'm going to want to have it invested as long as possible. That'll get me more of a profit. And are we gone?
Sorry, I just need to do a voice confirmation. Mr. Froggy Smiley Face, are you with us?
Yeah, sure am.
And we're not going to show anything on screen. We shouldn't, correct?
Well, no.
And what's 7 plus 7?
14.
14. All right. And what do you have to add to the conversation? Just a topical surface level?
Well, initially, I'd like to ask, an actual response from the soy pill on my super chat, but I also want to ask him, how does one make a pencil?
Wait, so the first super chat was the one where you're asking, why did you drop out of your good job for being a mediocre commentator? Was there even a question, or?
Well, no, I didn't say mediocre commentator. I said less than mediocre.
Excuse me, less than mediocre. Let's say piss poor. Let's say piss poor. Let's say dog shit even. What was your? Yeah, this wasn't a question. This just said good luck.
Yeah, so I said soy pill gave up a nice career to be a less than mediocre internet commentator. Good luck, bozo. And that still stands. I'd like to hear your actual response, other than the fact that my name is in Japanese and the fact that I speak the Japanese language. Do you have an actual response?
Arigato.
What's the response that you want me to say? Like, I am happy in my current situation. I'm making money. I'm paying my bills, and I'm doing what I'm passionate about. And honestly, I'm the happiest I've been in my entire life. So I don't know what you want me to say.
I actually like to, ask you, how are you making money? Because you're clearly not good at this.
So YouTube ad revenue, I make money off of sponsorships. I make money off of Patreon, but pretty much the support of my loving fans in chat. These are the people that support me and help me make money. And by the way, regardless of how you feel about the quality, let me just say this. There's a lot of people that make a lot of people that make a lot more money than me that are much worse than me. And regardless of what you think of my commentary, there's a lot of, Asmon Gold is the biggest Twitch streamer, and he's the most, dipshit dog streamer, dog shit streamer ever. Aiden Ross, these guys, make millions of dollars. They're dog water. So yeah, maybe you think I suck, but that does not affect whether or not I make money. So.
Hold on. This is actually interesting because it kind of ties into my second question.
Sure. How do I make a pencil?
Well, yeah, but also when it comes to entertainment, there are certain people who rise to the top, right? And that's because they actually provide a certain amount of content, a certain amount of entertainment. If you're not anywhere near that, then how in the fuck can you say you're not less than mediocre?
I mean, that's just kind of silly to me. I think there's plenty of people that are amazing commentators and entertaining, and unfortunately the algorithm just doesn't pick them up. And they're Non-Fawn over here unfortunately does not have the 400,000 subscribers he deserves. Maybe he'll get there one day. The algorithm will pick him up, but he's a very intelligent blossoming young channel, and I think he's going to do great, but he's not there yet. And who knows, check back with me in a year, maybe I'll be doing way better. But if you're gauging the quality of my channel based on my current size, I'm sorry, that's just not how how the internet works.
Before you continue to filibuster, I'm actually asking about you, not somebody else.
Well, if you're asking about me personally, I've had like immense channel growth over the past few months. I'm very happy with it. I have pretty much 500 subscribers in November. Now I have 90,000, and I'm gonna hope to keep going. I hope this is great
because we have to define our terms. How do you describe immense? What is immense to you?
Immense to me is magnitudes of growth more than I saw in 5 years. So before it was 100 every year, give or take, and now it's like 10,000 or more every month. I think that's a pretty big change. And I'm not trying to talk myself up here. I'm just saying I'm very happy with the current situation.
Matter. Does that not mean that you're less than mediocre? Because you clearly,
I don't know. I'm like, what I'm saying is you can be less than mediocre and dog shit, and you can be a millionaire because some people just like watching dog shit.
What I'm saying,
could I mention something here? I think it's important. Sure. I think it's important to know. My channel's only 11,000 subscribers. Been doing it for a few years.
Yeah,
but I know
faster growth than me.
But I know who. Yeah, but I know who I know who I'm talking to. Right? Yeah. People come to me when they want to understand about the property market, about how to buy a house. How to become a landlord and help the housing problem.
Yeah,
that's when they come to me. But I think what's really interesting is you say you're at 90,000 subs.
Just about. I'm almost.
Yeah, there. I mean that's forgive me. I obviously not watching your channel, but now I probably will. Oh, cool. But what's really interesting about it is that look at the number of people that have channels that are over 100,000 subs. Like he's knocking on the door. Like it's a really small number, like percentage wise. So my argument would be is that while I might not watch it, and make sure that I never miss a minute of soy, he definitely has a market. He definitely has people that want to watch him and talk about these ideas and care what he has to say. And just based on size, just the numbers, no feelings. Remember, I'm a libertarian. I don't have those. And so, just based on size, he's actually far better than mediocre based on size, like just factually.
I wouldn't say that because when it comes to like the top,
no, it's a number, it's a fact.
Wait, soon. Can I one more thing before you respond? Can you confirm that you're not a plant from me that's invigorated my chat to start super chatting and defense of me because it is happening. I just want to let you know if you have caused me to make some money right now, and thank you. I'll read these after, but go ahead.
Are you suggesting I have anything to do with you? Because I don't. I just saw you.
No, if you did, you'd be much funnier.
You got mobbed every single
time.
Well,
I read a thing that said I might have them flipped, but I believe it's only 6% of YouTubers actually get beyond the 1,000 subscriber mark, and only 1% actually get monetized. So if just being beyond 1,000 subscribers alone is
Sarah, in his defense, I could be shitty. Like I said, I could be a less than mediocre dog shit creator, but have way more subscribers. It's not about the number. I think if you think my content sucks, dude, that's potentially very.
I mean, has this guy Konnichiwa, will you talk to me next? I don't understand.
The other thing is
he an expert?
When it comes to YouTube creators, they're not dedicated.
It's Konnichiwa.
Online on a regular basis. This guy, he does.
Konnichiwa, it's my turn. Talk shit on me.
Who wants to get talked shit on?
Me, right here.
No, actually,
you're the powdered Dusty.
Come on, man! You're stealing food out of my kid's mouth by not talking shit on me.
Yeah, he wants to make money too. You know, Powder Dusty, you're less than mediocre.
Oh,
all right,
man.
You're a shitty streamer.
I'm probably gonna have to quit YouTube now.
Define less than shit, please. I believe we need to know that definition before we continue this conversation.
He needs to more join to the gym.
Less than mediocre.
I want to say something. Well, okay. I don't want to interrupt anyone.
Go, Mike.
Well, Chuck comes in with a big five, says, "What the fuck? Dusty ate chopped liver. He's prime rib."
Wait, Sarah, I have a direct request from Wick TV. Everyone go subscribe to him. And he says, and this is not my words, soon. This is Wick's. Tell that dipshit 99% of people who try to stream fail. Anyone paying their bills with content is in the top 1%. Thanks, Wick.
It's true.
See? Yeah. See, it's a very, very small. I thought I was just doing what everybody else did until I read that article, and I was like, oh shit, I'm doing all right.
You're doing great. You have big names like Soon and the Soy Pill on your channel.
Distinction.
Soy Pill. So you have your own channel. How long you had the channel for?
This is why I
did
said
not
lumberjack
say-
grew faster.
Hey,
I started this when I was in
Mouse on
Germany in
kind of
2020,
I
and
didn't
5
say-
years later, I only had 500 subs. The algorithm didn't pick me up. I was making dog shit, and something happened in November, probably Trump related, and it's been going. And I'm
That'd be my
blessed.
guess.
Yeah, and I'm happy about it. And I saw a bunch of bot comments, so there's a non-zero chance that George Soros is funding the growth behind my channel. Thank you, Mr. Soros, for the Soros bucks.
You still struggle.
Hey,
At least you're honest.
amongst commentators, are you not less than mediocre? Because I did not say YouTubers.
Amongst trolls, are you less than mediocre?
Who
Oh my
cares?
God.
If
You
you're
know
right,
who's
you're
less.
right. Maybe I am. What's your point? Like, what do you want me to say? Like, maybe I suck dog shit. Okay, now what?
Okay,
Do you
but
want to
that's
talk about it? Like, what?
You attacked me.
Wait, do you need the shoulder to cry on, Mr.
Yeah.
Froggy smiley face?
Like,
No,
are you trying to
no,
get to
Is
me?
that
Is there like a
okay?
discussion to be
Hold
had
on.
here? Like, I just don't see your
Let's
point.
do this. Let's
More-
give you a little shoulder time. Okay, come here, baby. Come here. All right, talk to me. Why are you so mad at Mr. Soy Pill because his content sucks, according to you? Why is that an issue for you?
No, well, my only point is that he's definitely less than mediocre. I think that's actually the case.
Okay, show me on the doll where it hurts. Why does that bother? Why?
saying I'm
Okay,
upset.
let me ask you this, because you've derailed our entire evening's conversation for the last at least 10 minutes just to come up and tell Soy Pill that his content sucks, right?
Yes.
So
specifically-
can you exemplify to me why it was so important to derail a really good topic for something that like nobody actually gives a shit about?
So if that's certainly the case, then why'd you let me up?
Well, I mean, it's an open panel. I'd have to,
Yes.
or else I would go against my rules. But that doesn't mean I can't sit here and tell you you're a little
So it's-
bitch for
so
doing it.
Hold on, Sarah. So it's an open panel, but you don't think
Mhm.
anybody's going to come up and potentially derail it?
Oh yeah, see, we have Spicoli up here. He derails literally everything. He's been
Oh, so now
waiting
you're-
backstage just so he can come and talk shit and talk about the JJ.
You expect people to derail your conversation, but suddenly you're targeting me for doing so? It's not-
Yeah, I'm gonna come in and tell you you're being a bad panelist, even though
Well,
it's an open door policy here.
Well,
It doesn't
maybe I think
mean you can come into this house with dirty shoes.
Well,
You
maybe I
take the
think you're
fucking
being
shit
bad
off at the
host.
front
How about
door.
that? Maybe you're
What
being a bad
I'm
host.
saying is
What
you're
I'm saying
making a big
bad
stink.
host.
You're making a big stink about, oh my God, Soy Pill, your content sucks. You quit your whole job just to do this. But I want to know why that affects you and how, and show me on the doll, please.
Yeah, so as you've just stated, you actually allow people up here as an open panel,
Mm-hmm.
and you expect people to sometimes come up and derail it, right?
Yes.
And then when that happens, suddenly it's an issue.
Then I get to be a bitch and tell you you're an idiot and a terrible
And what
panelist for
affects-
derailing a conversation for your
But,
fucking
hold on.
feelings.
Hold on,
Why
I'd
does
like-
anybody care about your fucking feelings?
Do you
Please
have an argument?
elaborate.
Do you have an argument against what I've
My argument is you're being a bad panelist. There are rules and
respect?
rhythms in which we
In what
operate
respect?
in being content creators. Obviously, you know nothing about that.
In
We
what
know how to
respect am I
keep
being
things
bad
on
panelist?
track, stay on
Respect.
topic, but you came up here and you shit your pants all over Soy Pill for what? Because you think his content sucks. Stick in the comments section and get the fuck out of here. All right, I'm gonna bring everybody else back up.
Sarah, that was amazing. You're the best. Now you see, I was like, I'll replace Andrew's. Your.
I was
father.
almost
You're the
there.
mommy.
It was
You're the mommy.
almost-
That was awesome. All right.
I
Holy
just think
shit.
it's stupid. Like you
And I have
content
one thing to
sucks.
say to him. One last thing soon, and that's Nihongo ga hanasemasen. That's all I can say.
I don't know. I think he was making some good points there at the end, to be honest.
I disagree. I don't agree with much of what he has to say, but at the end of the day, he is making it and he's doing a good job and he's helping people learn more about what he wants them to learn more about. And
On the troll side, as long as he's paying to have what he wants said, I don't care. Say it. It's fine.
He paid $5.
thank you,
Get
Powder
over it.
Dusty. He gave me a super chat for
The
trying to
only
help.
advice that I would have for
Soy.
Soy is that don't defend yourself too much. When you know
Sarah,
you
can I ask you a quick question before I go?
Sure, Spicoli. At this point, whatever.
It's a little off the topic, but I've been meaning to ask you this for a while now. Here's the question, and then I'm
Oh,
going to go.
Lord.
Then I'm going to smoke some weed. The question is, you know that hot chick that you showed getting off the horse since your stream began? My question
Yes,
is
sir.
this: do you think that she likes inserting anal beads up her rear end like another woman I know for 2.5 years does?
This message is sponsored in part by
Your horse. My chat
Have
requested.
a wonderful evening, Spicoli.
I think
do
the
you
answer
see
is
my
yes.
point? Do you see why I brought up Spicoli just to prove that point and said he derails everything by talking about the JJ? And this time he actually proved me wrong by talking about anal beads. But either way, you guys get the point.
Can I
But
ask, Sarah, why did you extra vet soon? Like I noticed you didn't do that with anyone else. Do you know all these people well?
we
enough
know
that you-
everybody else, yeah.
Oh, gotcha,
So
gotcha.
like Mike here, and there's those 3 little buttons you can click and it shows their name and you just start remembering their names that it shows, and that's like your verification mode. But I also require verification for people to get on here. So like it, there's little vetting things. But if you're new to the show, like I have to, and you don't cam up backstage. If you cam up backstage, that to me is like you're willing to show your face, and it kind of, they give me a little peace sign, a middle finger, whatever, and then I'm like, oh, okay, you're good. But yeah.
Okay. No, I was just curious.
And John Beer with the big 2 says, over on Flow State side, says, I'm the one who hurt my pinky. What?
I don't know the reference, but thank you for the super chat anyways.
Kisses and hugs. Oh, he got hurt and he.
Oh, he wants your kisses and hugs.
Oh, you little baby boo boy. Come here.
I mean,
come
I can hook you up with some kisses and hugs, but for $2 you get mine, not hers.
It's gonna be a little rough.
Bagging non-fun for free. I don't think you can walk that back and start charging for kisses. True.
Well,
Also,
I just
Sarah, I
like
saw another super chat that
go
told me to go to the gym more. Do people think?
Oh, yeah, me too.
Are they trying to give me extra body dysmorphia?
I don't know.
Wear
I've seen your little swole pictures. You're pretty swole. Yeah.
All right, but I'll go again just for him or her or whoever they are.
Wait, do the muscles again. There's no in my chat.
One
Oh,
side
thank
was
you.
very tiny. Okay.
I was almost there.
That's almost there.
Who else is a landlord besides Lumberjack?
I agree.
don't
Wait,
wanna
I
go
agree with
back down
Portsmouth
that
and
route.
Patty.
Lumberjack is the only landlord
this-
here, or
this
is
is-
me?
This is beautiful. I don't want to talk about landlords. Lumberjack
That's right.
has his own show on June 5th, Thursday night. You can talk about landlord shit all night long, I promise.
Yep.
But Uncle Fatty, genius. Uncle Fatty is a very nice panelist. He obeys most of the rules of paneling. And he says, since when does open panel mean open topic? Yes. Beautiful. Thank you, Uncle Fatty. Tomatoes in the chat for Uncle Fatty because he gets it. Why didn't that dipshit?
What a
I
cut
think when we
comment.
got derailed, lumberjack.
It's Uncle Fatty.
How is Uncle Fatty going to be on my side the whole time, then come over to Sarah's to cuck, and he's probably back over in my
He's
chat
a
again?
Democrat.
All right, go ahead, Troy. You were bringing us back
Before we got
around.
derailed, lumberjack. You were talking about like
Yeah.
these kind of onerous, very bureaucratic, bloated healthcare things that you saw when you were in the healthcare system for 17 years. Which again, it's interesting. A lot of the stuff you bring up, I do not disagree with. I think you and I would probably see similar problems with the system. We might
Absolutely.
disagree on how to fix them. But what would you have to say about like the Medicaid costs and like whether or not you agree with them? Cuts, excuse me. Like, do you agree that the way that they're cutting Medicaid is good? Do you think that's better for the country? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the it's really multifaceted. So a lot of times the argument against it, right, is like you said, Germany with free healthcare, and with Canada with free healthcare, right? Just to our north, we have free healthcare up there.
Yep.
So bad news is that I work for a Canadian company, and
What haven't you done? You're like the Forrest Gump of
I'm
everything.
40. I'm 47 years old. But because I enjoy life so much, I
You
look
look
pretty young.
mid-30s. You look great, Ben.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
not nearly as built as you, and you're probably going to live longer with all that soy. But I will. I'll take my dead meat carcass. In all honesty, like in talking, it's one of the things that we would have a lot of conversations about. The people that worked out of the Canadian office that were Canadian, and the people that worked out of the States. And the fact of the matter is that none of the people that worked in the States could ever raise their hand and said, I sat in an emergency department for 24 hours.
Okay.
And without exception, every single one of the Canadians had.
Yeah, sure. That's
And
a
so-
big problem. I faced that as well in Germany. There are longer wait times for certain things
Sure.
because there's a guarantee of care for a lot of people. And you say free, but a lot of people like to say, hey, it's not free. It's like, that's why my taxes are so fucking high.
Yeah, sure.
I
Can
don't
you show me the lines of people that are turned away from these hospitals? Because that's just a misnomer. Like,
Oh,
there's not
sure.
these lines of people
Are
that
you
are turned
talking
away
about
from
in
hospitals. And
America?
I can tell, I
Right.
can actually tell you, I know exactly how all the financial pieces of that work behind the scenes. That just people don't know.
No. So my argument would not be, these people are, waiting. The wait times, obviously, in America, I think, are not nearly so bad. But I think the issue is a lot of people don't go to the hospital because they think they can't afford it. A lot of people, get worse conditions because they don't go and get preventative care that I think they otherwise should be getting. And in a lot of places, people just die because they don't get the care they need, especially if you are in these places, in these red states where these Medicaid costs are going to close these hospitals down. I don't necessarily think, Bernie Sanders is like, well, hey, we need Medicare for all, abolish private insurance. I'm not even that radical, right? Even as a Bernie supporter, Germany has a mixed system. I like the idea that, hey, if you want your own insurance, you want to pay privately, I think that's fine. I don't think you should, I just think everyone should have at least the base minimum of, hey, if you go, you're at least going to be taken care of. But Medicaid in and of itself isn't that even. It's not guaranteed to everyone. It's just, hey, the poorer people, right? So I think these cuts are hurting our country insofar as they're weakening our healthcare system. They're making a lot of people just not get the care they need. And those people could otherwise be taxpayers. They could otherwise be, contributing members of society that may get sick and die and actually cost us more money. That's my issue with the Medicaid.
I'm sorry. Is Duck wearing a tie?
Yeah, this is my so this is my duck tie. I decided I'm still gonna stick
That's
with
worth a shot.
but it looks great with like a light blue shirt. It's
And
not
I
that big of
just
a
want to
deal.
add in our dumbass Mr. Froggy smiley face came back and changed his name and was waiting backstage as if I'm not stupid enough. He doesn't know how the verification works. It still has your other name back there.
He's a less than mediocre internet deceiver.
He's a less than mediocre panelist. I'll say
Dude,
that.
you're giving trolls a bad name the world over.
That's a weak troll job. Yeah.
I gotta say, Sarah, the people that insult me on these
wanna ask you a
panels, they're
question
really weak. I remember on the men one, they were calling me Gay Inspector Gadget when they totally missed Inspector Gadget. That's so easy, and they totally didn't call me that. And I guess gotta say, I'm used to a lot smarter insults, and I'm a little disappointed with the people that don't like me. That's all I'll say.
That's fair. I agree with you, and I will say if you're gonna insult me, you better be creative because I've already heard them all. So,
Because
anyways,
of the king, you best not miss. That's what they say.
back to you, gentlemen.
So I do agree with the Deutschland, like the Germany, and I actually agree with that. Like Germany, yes. I mean, I'm American. I'm more of an Americanized, meaning like I support America. But it's true in terms of the medical system, the Germany is it's top. But I want to ask a question. So did we actually cut the medical,
Oh, this hasn't happened yet. This is for the proposed Republican spending bill. They're going to
really
pass it. So they're going to pass it through the House, or they're going to.
It hasn't happened yet
this week. And the reason I'm calling it out is because we know what the effects of this are going to be. I'm actually trying to advocate for people, anyone in the audience, for Sarah and my audience. Hey, if you live in any of these states, or if you don't, hey, go to the Democratic website or 5calls.org, call your senator, say, hey, I don't think you should cut this Medicaid. But this has not happened yet. This is
one of us.
So so remember, obviously it has to pass the Congress. So there's a lot of process through that. Mm-hmm. You're talking as if it's happened, or
why doesn't Trump just declare an emergency? Just like
they have a House and a Senate majority. If the Republicans want this bill passed, it will pass.
It's like you're allowed to advocate for and
so
against
just
the
for
bill
the audience
as it's being created.
Just in case anyone forgot, Medicaid is for adults with low incomes. And so, I think most people already know that, but one of the things that Democrats and actually most Republicans had worked really hard for is that you don't have to crawl on the ground, to take your kid to get, vaccinated, to get, if they have a temperature, you can take them to get the correct care. Something the United States typically has done well, right? So there's a reason to fight for something like this. I'm
going to step away for just a quick moment, gentlemen. I'm going to leave I'm gonna leave Flow State in
They're gonna be
charge.
mean to me.
He's not even here.
Well, they already know what I'll do if they are. They just got a nice brief
I'm gonna tell
example
guys I'm
of it.
calling on you.
I'll just be 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
All right.
I mean, he's literally not even on.
I know that makes it perfect.
What happens when the inmates on the asylum?
I just wanted to add that still you're going to be taken care of, especially in New York City. They will not deny you, and then obviously yes, you might have a bill or not, and then maybe they'll pay a portion of it. But the
You're not turned away anywhere. All due respect, you're just I see them. These
That's
people
true.
are not. They're not turned away.
Well,
So
yeah, but the two
I
issues
just-
is one,
Soy,
people
this
don't
might not be
preventative care.
Soy, this might not-
People,
they aren't. Hey, listen. 17 years in hospital systems. I know how
I
they
was
work.
one of those people. I broke my back, burned my hands, and had a massive amount of needed medical care. I was broke, penniless. I lost my job because of this stuff that had happened. Suddenly, I couldn't work, and they replaced the skin on my hands. I didn't get any surgeries on my back.
You die, right? Like, you know, but my point to that is, one, it does create a chilling effect where people are not going to the regular checkups. They don't know to what degree the government will help them. Well, hold on, and let me say that also,
you're in charge.
that if this, let's assume that everyone was just going anyway, and everyone who couldn't afford it was still being taken care of. To that, I would say, well, then it sounds like we should then do the most efficient thing and pay for the programs that actually make this cheaper, rather than have them pay full out-of-pocket medical, or we're paying the full out-of-pocket medical cost rather than the insurance costs, which would otherwise be cheaper if we put it into Medicaid.
The obvious issue with the healthcare industry is that we want to have fast wait times and high quality. And that's something that's very expensive, right? And that's our issue, is that we don't want to be the Canadian model where it takes forever, but it's good quality and it's cheap.
not good quality. That's not correct. That's incorrect. That's factually
Decent
incorrect.
quality. We'll
It's
go with
not.
decent.
It's just
What if you want to self-relieve?
All right. Sorry.
They're really good at that
people
assisted
that they-
suicide.
hold on,
It's a
let me
bunch of
finish. I'm correcting.
loose
The,
and
the number of
legal
people that they
so-
have die waiting for surgeries is off the charts.
Right.
That's
what I
a
was
fact.
saying.
That doesn't happen in America. People
I
dying
understand that.
waiting for surgery. It doesn't
They
happen.
probably don't even
I do agree with you.
medical bankruptcies. Like, there's a lot of
Listen,
more, I
but
would say,
hold
worse
on, hold on, hold
problems
on.
here.
That's
Yeah,
very
look,
true
what-
because they,
what Pursuit is
Did you
talking
work in
about
healthcare
is
for
this
17
like
years?
iron triangle,
Guys, I'm
right, of
supposed to be in
healthcare.
charge here.
That is what I'm talking about. Correct.
Yeah, so like usually there's going to be a trade-off between cost, quality, and access, and there's this
Power.
triangle, and you can kind of. Right now, the U.S. is probably just leaning too much on having too high a cost.
Lumberjack is
Canada
correct.
might be leaning
You
too much
never-
and having too low a cost, but really poor quality or really poor access.
it's not
But
really.
there's
Hey,
It's
guys,
also
really
not
something
poor quality
better.
non-fund. I wouldn't even concede that. There are
not poor
degrees
quality.
not as good, but to talk about the quality of healthcare in like Germany or Canada or any of these places where I'm very familiar with the people that use the system, this is not something that everyone's like, this is dog shit, we're sucking, we all wish we had the American system. They don't vote this out because it is, to a degree, a little slow, but it's good quality healthcare where people are mostly taken care of, at least to the degree that I want them to be. And
It
it's
does
not
take forever, though. You have to be real. So
It's-
that is
No,
a real
it does.
issue.
There are longer wait times, and I agree that can suck. I'd rather
it's-
wait a little longer
but
than
no.
not
It's-
get
but
the
here's-
healthcare
that-
in and of itself.
Listen, that's a complete straw man, because here's the thing: you wouldn't want to wait longer if you got fucking cancer in your leg. You wouldn't want to wait longer.
Sure,
You wouldn't be okay with how long you
they
wait.
make
And
wait longer, like what they're wait lists for. Just like with organ transplants, like sometimes this is just a zero-sum game of like, hey, we don't have enough fucking organs for you. But when
That's not an oranges to
not
oranges
that stuff.
comparison.
You're-
Well, hold on,
Organ
what I'm saying is,
transplant, there's a
no,
wait
no,
list
they're
for
not
that.
making
You're
people who have
You're
immediately
talking about
needed to be.
diagnostic.
You're
So
talking about
can we
something
isolate
completely
it to like
different.
diagnostic care, specialty? So Lumberjack, your claim, like, because pretending I don't know that much about healthcare, but we're saying that referrals to specialists. We're talking about follow-up care. We're talking about the recursive development of a healthcare system to some extent. I'm supposed to trust some guy that probably quotes Breitbart, to learn about this stuff. That's what you're telling me.
me,
You're the only
Breitbart?
guy
No,
here
like-
that I think probably quotes Breitbart.
Doc, why don't your questions make
Ducky,
sense?
in case you weren't paying attention, 17 years in healthcare working in hospitals. 17
As
years.
an
17?
observation,
17.
Uh,
Yeah, so
Doug
I
only plans
know
for
more about
24.
healthcare in the U.S. than
Lumberjack, you don't have to defend yourself to a guy in a tank top and a duck tie.
He only
That's
plans
correct.
for
He just
24
did,
hours.
though.
That is
So-
absolutely right.
Well, can I bring a number to this real quick?
Guys,
Lumberjack.
I
I want to give credence to Lumberjack's
other
argument.
countries, presidents come here to the United States to get operated.
Yeah, we have better quality health.
Yes, we have the best quality. No one
This
else
is the best country when it so so there's a reason.
Like what we're complaining about is
When
about
you're
the
rich.
fact that we cannot afford it. That's our issue.
Hey, listen,
and Lumberjack, like, to your credence, right? Like, I think I just read this. Someone's mentioned this to me before. I think.
What about trans care?
17
Like, isn't trans care untreated?
Please be quiet. Please
Sorry.
be quiet. I'm sorry. It's just like I know what you're trying to do. 17,000 people a year, I think, died in this 5-year study in Canada for wait times, right? Like, this is bad. This is not good. I don't think that the Canadian, it's the utopia. Some people are like, it's the utopia. Everything's perfect there. There are clearly problems with this. But if you look at like, all right, versus how many people a year like die from wait times in America, I would say probably less. I don't have that number off the top of my head. I know that about 50,000. Yeah, I know this is per capita, but like 50,000 people like die just because they don't have healthcare or don't have access to healthcare. I'd rather have a little dip in quality, but a guaranteed, like, hey, we're gonna like at least do this preventative care. We're at least gonna cover these costs, and I'm happy to pay the
Have you considered an antidote that Lumberjack has ready? Go, Lumberjack, go ahead.
I've lived through it, and I can tell you that many people don't go to doctors because they just don't go. There's a massive part of the population that doesn't go to doctors. If I were Powder Dustin, he's so pretty, he never has to go to a doctor. He's just going to wait until his freaking.
And I never do.
I mean, that's a personal opinion. No, that is a personal opinion. That is not.
No. That's fact, Ducky. I worked in the.
No, it is not a fact. I worked in healthcare for 17 years.
Excuse me. I'm going to play degenerate doggy porn if you don't stop it. Now stop it.
I did have a request for the firefighter again. $2.
You said you wouldn't share a sex tape.
Tomato, fierce and red, juicy curves,
This message is sponsored in part by.
If I may,
Lumberjack, I don't have this data on hand, but I would hope that you would acknowledge that it's likely that in countries with lower healthcare costs, there's probably more preventative care going on. Would you think that's likely at least?
Have you ever seen a clinic open up in Canada?
That's a great answer to my question. Do you think it's like that in countries with lower costs? It absolutely answers your
question because it's absolutely about access. They don't have access because their doctors stay here because the system here is that much better. They don't go back to Nigeria. They don't go back to these other places. They stay here. Many of them stay here. And that's the issue.
Have you been to Canada? Lumberjack, have you been up north? Have you been to Canada?
No, hold on.
I work for a Canadian company.
Yeah, your position that countries with lower healthcare costs don't have more preventative care. Is that your position?
I didn't hear what you said. Sorry, go ahead.
Is your position that countries that have lower healthcare costs don't have more preventative care? Is that your position?
No, that's completely oversimplifying it. 1,000% oversimplifying it.
Well, the issue to Lumberjack is like if you look at the satisfaction rates for healthcare, it's like you're the way you talk about Canada or any of these socialized medicine places. It's like there's just people dying and they all hate it. And like
never said that.
Well, sure, but like the way you're implying it seems like maybe anecdotally, like
I don't even think he gave that implication.
When I'm actually about people with wait times, but if you look at the satisfaction rates for these countries, they're phenomenally higher than the American system because we unfortunately just don't. We let a lot of people slip through the cracks.
You just super strong man Lumberjack.
Sure. Okay. Right? I'm conceding. Maybe you didn't say that. I'm saying, like, the people in these countries like their healthcare way more than they like ours.
And that's fine. They can keep perfect. They can keep it. I don't want to die waiting. I'm good with that. They can keep it. I don't want to die waiting.
Yeah,
the fact of the matter is that
you're a millionaire.
You work until September. Yeah, I absolutely am. And I did it from being a ninth grade dropout. But I can tell you that no Canadian citizen, and maybe your feed on Instagram is just too doxed. But the fact of the matter, hold on, let me finish. Fact of the matter is that there are tons of people there that don't like their healthcare, don't like how their government's running.
Yeah, it's about 26%.
I promise you, it's higher.
Why? Based on what?
Based on actually talking to people there.
Come on. I've analyzing people's satisfaction off your 17 years of talking to people. Like, I'm sorry, this is where I got to be like, sorry, dude, that's just stupid.
That's fine. That's kind of like sounds almost like Pearl, just pearly things. Well, I talked to 1,000 women, and so therefore that's the.
No, I worked in healthcare.
All I'm saying is
you don't know how long I've worked in healthcare.
I will add in, gentlemen, that in that additive. We had a debate, forever ago, and it was about the line, like the line for unaliving yourself, what's the word? Euthanasia. And we were discussing in Canada, particularly because the video clip we pulled was people who couldn't get good health care, that they were so poor that they'd actually would prefer to be relieved of all of those, pains. And it was actually really sad to watch and talk about it. But that's a thing up there, that they actually have a line to unalive themselves because they can't handle all the medical bill, or not medical bills, but the line for the medical care, and they're so poor, and there's like social structure or welfare or whatever just wasn't enough for them to survive reasonably.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Fucking losers.
I don't think that should happen. That is maybe inflating the statistic that I brought up. Maybe it should be higher than 26% dissatisfaction. They all just died, but I don't think that
I mean, I just want to say it might be like a non-problem, but also like, so Lumberjack, who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe there's nothing political or social about healthcare in the United States. But it's also like turning the knife when we have obvious statistics in mental health, and it's probably easy to extrapolate that in certain geographies, maybe certain smaller populations, like if, as well as talking about, when there are social or like critical issues in healthcare, wherever that comes in, like it's like turning the knife to say, well, oh, it's just nothing, right? Like what does that actually mean to say that, this problem is possibly something, but then it's nothing? I don't understand what world this is.
I don't understand what your question is.
Nobody ever does. Nobody ever does.
Do you have a response?
I will say,
conversation.
Duck did this last night with Rob Noor on Grid's channel, and we all were just like, what?
And Doug, I think you're awesome. I think you're funny. I like you, but I think, again, from a healthcare perspective,
You don't have to tell me I'm a lumberjack. I don't know you.
I'm not saying we're going to hang out.
That came through loud and clear.
I watched you in the stream that you were on with Millennial Mike. I genuinely liked you. I thought your questions were funny. I think that, one of the challenges, 17 career years in healthcare, watching all the things and seeing all the things that I've seen, there are a lot of things that people just don't know about. Like hospitals. Does anyone know what a typical U.S. hospital makes in margin? Just guess.
No, not a lot. I think there's regulations.
Google this.
Does it matter? It's not regulated. No, it's not.
Can I ask you? I mean, let's put us in the room. Let me ask you.
You know, or you shut up.
No, let me ask you. So is it a regional healthcare, a small healthcare, nonprofit?
Shut the fuck up.
Okay, I will.
Bitch.
Thank you.
He did ask everyone, to be fair, Sarah.
He did.
We all
If you
wasn't giving an answer.
No, then you shut your mouth and allow somebody who does know to give the actual answer. It's just common sense. Lumberjack, could you provide the answer, please, of the margin?
It's 1%, 2%, and 3% is what a lot of these places make. I mean, that should, like, they're in business and they're making 2 or 3%. Like
Salesforce.
That's not really, no. But this is what's supposed to keep us alive. So I think that the healthcare system largely is broken. I think it definitely, absolutely, 1000% needs to be fixed.
So the idea to you is that we should be charging patients more because their lives are worth so much that they should be paying a higher premium, right?
Yeah, you're not going to get me there. I pay $3,300 a month because my daughter had cancer. So you're not going to get me there.
All right. So we should just do the same thing. That should be more, right? Because that's cancer. So if we're talking about a broken leg, we should be charging what, $50,000 or something for?
Yeah, I mean, clearly you don't understand how insurance
what's the margin
works.
what's the margin that it should be at then?
Well, the organizations, listen, how many employees do these places employ? They employ lots of employees, and we still want innovation. We still want all of these things to come. I think that the system, largely speaking, is broken because of the amount of red tape that it takes to get anything done. Walk into any doctor's office. Hold on, Pursuit of Knowledge. I'm going to give you some. Walk into any doctor's office, and you're going to find you've got 5 people sitting behind desks and computers, and you have 2 clinicians. That's wrong. That's not the right way to do it. You have 5 people that are sitting there moving paperwork, sending stuff in, resubmitting, all for the purpose of 2 clinicians actually seeing patients.
What's so
numbers
funny
don't work.
about this is because
So
I love
actually,
when
hold on. I agree
libertarians.
with you. Administrative costs in the U.S. are too high, and a lot of that is actually because we have so many different insurers under so many different programs. I think some type of single payer or more managed competition model would actually reduce administrative
But
costs
would
a
that
lot.
would stop the
But
free
if that's your
market there?
problem,
We can't
taking
have
poor
that,
people-
non-fun, right?
taking-
These libertarians
taking-
only believe in private industry.
Right.
That
So
would
if that's
cut
your
out the
problem,
private industries.
taking poor people off Medicaid.
He doesn't.
is
He
not
doesn't
gonna
think
fix
about
that
these
problem.
things. It's hilarious because it's so funny because
Is it hilarious?
hearing Soy Pill talk earlier about how efficient it needs to be. We need to cut waste of spending, right? Because we shouldn't be spending $1 more because we just live efficiently. You sound the exact same way, Lumberjack, with your libertarian ideas, that you need to have the most efficient way of living, that business needs to be efficient, that government needs to be efficient. The problem is both of those ideas are just wrong because it's a sliding
Well, they're
scale.
wrong.
Wait,
Absolutely,
what did I
wrong.
say about
Yeah,
efficiency?
it's fucking
that was
retarded.
wrong?
Sorry,
Any
fucking
of my
retarded.
two-
Oh,
It's not just
absolutely.
wrong.
Like,
It's too fucking stupid.
clearly you
So
figured it out.
the problem is that your personal antidotes of living and working for a Canadian
Experience.
healthcare-
That's what we call that. Experience. Knowledge.
for
That's-
17
that's
years.
another
Your
word for
personal one
anecdote,
is not
by the way.
enough to diagnose the overall systematic issue that is the healthcare industry in the United States. I'm sorry.
Let me give you my
You have
resume
Some
again.
knowledge
7 out
of that,
10
and that's
largest
fine.
health
But at the same
systems
time, just
were my
because
client.
you saw a couple people not working efficiently doesn't
No,
mean
wrong.
bullshit, bro. I'm sorry. It doesn't mean anything. Okay.
No. Look,
Administrative knowledge.
I
Do
do
you-
As much
know, I
as
do
Soy
know.
Pill talking about how
how
money should be,
Excuse me.
Dude, 7 out of 10.
I mean, are we all agreeable to some degree that there is still a lot of waste in the healthcare system, things that we're
massive.
being
Oh my
charged
God.
for, or like,
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, have a baby, and when you get that itemized invoice, you see the shit that you're being charged for, and you're like, what?
But that's because of private industries.
It
That's
didn't
because of
make
private
any
insurance
sense to me.
companies.
No, it's not.
No. Look, Lumber, this is why I wanted you to engage with the 2 points that I brought up earlier before we got derailed again, which is one, administrative cost. All these administrative inefficiencies would be lower if there were less insurers, if more people were on like a single government program or whatever. Providers and providers were only able to charge one price to all insurers. And number two,
Tell me where that's
if
worked.
this issue of healthcare, cutting Medicaid doesn't really fix anything. It just means there's more uninsured people.
More uninsured people that are still going to the doctors.
I mean,
Yep.
they're-
No
Yeah,
one's
but
getting turned
number
away.
one, we would probably seek less preventative care. I would hope you agree with that. And two, if they're going to hospitals uninsured, that means usually when you go to a hospital or whatever, that you have to pay a fuck ton of money. They can't pay that money, so usually the government has to subsidize that on the back end, and where we end up paying the money anyway.
It's actually incorrect. That's
Doing
not
that.
how it's actually. That's not how it's actually done.
That's not how it's
but
done.
I can tell you that one of my tenants is actually an all cash provider. She's a nurse practitioner. She's an all cash provider. She's able to run her entire business with basically just one person at the front desk and 2 people that are able to see patients. And her fee for getting an appointment is $90. And
Wait,
that's
Lumberjack,
it.
can I ask? Because maybe I'm just completely
I-
uninformed.
I
Let's
have
say
a
an
friend that
uninsured person,
pays
Mike, please.
$45.
Mike, please. If you're going to the hospital and you're uninsured and you can't afford it, who's paying for it then?
It's called indigent care. Is what it's
Okay,
called.
who pays for it? That's all I'm asking. I'm not
Yeah,
trying to
so-
gotcha. I genuinely, I'm asking you to tell me.
Yeah. So literally what said, you don't have any insurance. Okay, please still take a seat.
No,
Then
no,
they
no,
see you,
I
and then
understand that, and they still see
and
you.
then-
But then who?
and then
pays
you
for it?
get and then you get a bill when you leave,
And then if
or you'll
can't
get
pay for it.
bills in the mail,
Right.
and then your option
It'll
is
be
at
in the
that
mail.
point. Do you want me to answer? So you get bills in the mail, and then at that point you can contact the hospital and you can say, "I don't have insurance.
Mhm.
I don't have any money.
Okay.
Yep.
I need to. I don't want to file financial bankruptcy."
Right.
And so, is there some sort of a payment plan that we can work out where I can make payments to you?
Right, but if they don't do
Yep.
that, then what?
I haven't ever
Their
seen
fault.
that. I haven't ever seen that happen.
In most
Okay.
cases,
So-
And then-
Well, this is why we can't rely on your anecdotes every time.
Situation that
because
You wanna-
there's
you wanna know
lots
how
of
it
people
actually
that just
works?
Go into
Hold
medical
on.
bankruptcy, and then who's paying?
Do you want to
for
know
it?
how it works?
What?
So
How payment
so
plans work?
it's a 3-step. Well, you asked. I thought you
No,
might wanna know.
well, first of all, I asked who's paying for it, and your answer was, "Hey, you could do a payment plan." No, I'm asking you if they don't
It's
pay for it, who pays for it?
So the hospital has something called write-offs. That's why they have it 3%.
Where are the actual
That's
bank
why
accounts? Yeah,
Hold
what are the
on.
actual bank accounts, Lumberjack?
Hold
what
on,
they
let him
actually
answer.
do
you.
is if I say I can't pay for it, and they
Mhm.
go, okay, we'd like to work some sort of a payment plan out with you, and you say I can afford $20 a week or something like that, and they say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We need you to fill out basically a personal financial statement. They fill out a personal financial statement that goes into the hospital. Hospital says, I'm sorry, but Soy, you've got a lot of gay porn subscriptions that you're watching. And it's to the tune of
I would
90,
never
000.
pay for gay porn.
Well, and see, that's the thing is like you're so handsome you can get it for free.
Never
So
exactly. I have it in my DMs. It's so easy.
Welcome for the setup. See what a
Yeah.
team player I am. And so the issue is that then they have the option where they look at your finances to see if it's something that you can then afford, and then
or
will
they can
give you
garnish your wages, right?
Right.
Like, right?
No. That's far down the line. Let's not act like
Sure.
you can't pay
That is a
you.
thing
You're
you
getting
can
your
do.
wages garnished. That's not how
This
it
is how
works.
gay porn
Well,
starts.
My point is, when you talk about the write-offs, it seems like this is a long-winded way of saying at
the government
a
doesn't
certain
pay the
point.
write-off.
You're
Well, who pays the write-off then?
The government. That's what I'm saying. The government doesn't pay the write-off.
What's happening? Oh, hey.
Oh, look
also
at that.
intimate here.
I love it.
Speaking of gay porn,
rugby
look
with
at these
you, buddy.
two sweaty men
Yeah.
going at it.
Hey, listen. There's no hugging that needs to apply. So here's what happens. So
Sure.
the hospital, two lovers too far away. So the hospital will say, okay, clearly you can't pay. Clearly you can. So they might say, clearly you can pay.
Mhm.
And when they say, yeah, clearly when you can pay, then they start going after you. Like if
Right.
you've got assets, if you've got houses, and if you've got, all of these other bank accounts and trader accounts and all this other stuff, they're like, fuck you. You could have paid, you could have had insurance, but you chose not to. So
Right.
now we're coming after you and we want you to pay.
Okay.
But if you are truly indigent, then what they actually do is they will literally take the entire bill. They have money that they set aside from all of the other bills that get paid
Mhm.
that then is used to take credit on those accounts. And what they're able to do is they're able to do a cost accounting measure to actually reduce it to zero based on funding that they have, but then also mark to market of cost.
Right. And so is this like a regulated, like must have this much liquid, in the same way banks have to have a amount of
It's-
liquidity for this?
it
Is
isn't.
this
It isn't.
like
And
they
that's-
do this based on a business decision?
Well, exactly. That's exactly right. They do it
Okay,
based
I'm just
on
curious about that. Well, okay, so to all of that, what I would say is, yeah, okay, sure. But this doesn't negate the fact that there's like 500,000 people every year are going into medical bankruptcy because they literally can't afford it.
Don't-
and it's like,
Don't
who's
disagree.
right?
Don't-
And so
but
what my
very
whole
often
point
those
of this
medical
is
bankruptcies
like,
though are choices. Like there are very many of them.
essentially,
that are-
but I
yeah,
don't think
here's-
all of them would be. And
Not
my
all of them, but
question is, how
you-
does cutting Medicaid fix this? Because if you were to come to me
Yeah.
and you're saying, look, Lumberjack, he's running for president, and he's going to say, look, I think this is a bloated, overblown, regulation, red tape, piece of bullshit system, and I want to fix this by doing XYZ. This is how we can make it cheaper. This is how we can get more people on it. Sure, I could hear you out there. What I'm saying, my argument is not against that. My argument is against, look, Trump's current idea is let's just cut Medicaid to pay for the tax cuts. And I think this is going to hurt America because it's going to shut down these hospitals. I don't know that all these people are going to necessarily get all the care they need. I'm sure a lot of them, like you said, will go to the hospital. They won't get turned away. Maybe they'll have payment plans. Maybe they will file for medical bankruptcy. But I think a lot of these people just aren't going to get the care they need. And there are studies that show that the amount of deaths that will result from this are in the tens, if not hundreds of thousands. Because
I disagree with those factors because those guys are never right with their projections. They just aren't.
I
can tell you
can't contest if you could like
show me
maybe,
the one where show me any of these studies where you looked at it and go, see, they were totally fucking right. Like they just aren't. They're wrong. It's propaganda. It really is.
Okay. I mean,
so what I want to, but here's what I would tell.
Hold on. I just want to pause here. Sorry to interrupt, but it's like, look, if it is all lies, if all these studies are lies, then I can't engage on like a factual basis any further. Like this is all my ability to navigate the world is to rely on people who know more than me, and you know more than me about healthcare. Don't get me wrong. However, I do trust the experts and these projections to a degree. I'm sure if we had a very specific debate on this, I could find studies that show, like they showed that when they expand. Well, here's a study that I'm sure you could find if I Googled it right now. If you said, look how many more people have not died from medical bankruptcy after the Affordable Care Act expansion. The Medicaid expansion that allowed more people with less means testing and a greater range of people to go on this and get better healthcare. I think you can literally see how many fewer people went into medical bankruptcy and how many people got better care and did not die. I think there literally we can find these stats right now. If we want to go look these up, I would assume that the opposite would be true, which is if you kick more people off or if you close these hospitals, there's going to be people. Let's say it's like less than 1%. Maybe it's an incredibly small number, but you must see someone is dying, right? Someone is dying. Someone's going into medical bankruptcy, right?
Yep, sure. But that's the thing is though, is medical bankruptcy doesn't mean death. It doesn't even mean financial.
No,
death.
of course not.
But so all I'm saying is that here's what I do know. I do know that Medicaid does not negotiate drugs. They get something, and the other issue too that they have is something called a DRG. Do you know what that is? The DRG.
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, so DRG is basically a procedure where the government tells the hospital exactly what it's going to pay. And they say, we're only going to pay you $400 for this procedure.
Yeah.
The problem that we have is that procedure might cost the hospital $650 to deliver. Right.
This is just to be clear, this is the diagnosis related group. That's the one you're talking about. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you have any acronyms and I don't know them, please explain them to me.
No, sure. Yeah. And so, well, the funny thing is most of the full words I don't know them. Healthcare is acronym hell. It's absolute acronym hell. Everything is,
Don't worry, I worked in aerospace. I know. It's
exactly. Yeah. So it's just a nightmare. It's like, it's all Fetzer valves these days. It's all ball bearings these days. But that's the biggest challenge is I don't know what the right fix is. I can tell you that there's big swaths of waste, fraud, and abuse that can be taken care of very quickly, which are simple things like the drug piece. With insurance, my drugs that I'm on, they're $350 a month. With no insurance, they're $19.
With no insurance, they're $19. You're paying out of pocket, or the insurance pays?
I'm paying out $350 out of pocket.
Okay, yeah, that's bad. I'm sure there are ways that this is inefficient.
But I can't lie and say I don't have insurance because I do.
Sure. Well, here's my issue, though. I mean, non-fund was kind enough to share this with me, but like $33 billion in public funds were used to pay for people who don't have health insurance in 2017. So this is a thing that happens to a significant degree. And I think you'd be remiss to say this is not going to increase at least a little, if not a lot, when we kick off a lot of,
Yeah, it certainly is going to increase, but it's like any business. You look at any business when it's not affecting the health
of people's lives, right? Like I don't think this is how it works. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, sure.
I'm not saying what I'm saying is if you're still going to be at certain outcomes, right? The idea is you obviously want to improve those outcomes, but no one's life is ever for sale. The idea is that right now $33 billion is coming from the government to take place in that and play their role and be a part. The idea is what's the more efficient way of doing that is really always the question.
Right. No, and this is why I said at the beginning, my contention is with the way that Trump is weakening the system. If you were on the stage and you were saying, this is a better system, I could say that's a fair argument. Maybe we can debate the merits of that, but that's not what he's doing. He's not saying, let's make this better. It's, hey, we need money for tax cuts. Fuck all these people on Medicaid. That's what I'm upset about specifically. And if you want to talk about how to fix healthcare, I think we could have a more interesting debate about that, but that's not my contention with the Trump admin right now.
Yeah. I mean, what I honestly believe is when this goes through, I honestly don't believe that we're going to be rolling grandma in the streets and putting her in a bag and throwing her back of the truck. And
I hope you're right.
I'd be willing to bet that I am. Yeah, I'd be willing to bet that I am.
That's not happening.
I won't, because you can bet infinitely more than I can.
That is not happening.
I agree, Mike. I agree. I mean, I think, again, just, watching how they handle indigent care, watching how they do debt forgiveness, watching how there's 7 different levers and knobs that any hospital can pull. Certainly there's tons of people, and usually the people that end up going medically bankrupt are the ones that had money and assets in other things and chose not to have insurance. And then they were like, well, hey, you were trying to fuck us. And so now you gambled and you lost. And so now we're coming after your house. We're going to garnish your wages because you could have had it and you didn't. And you decided not to get it and put the burden on everybody else.
I've seen this Mexican dude. So I just want to say something.
Thanks, Powder.
I promise, guys, to be quick. So I've seen this Mexican dude, don't even know how to speak English. He just had a liver transplant, no medical, no insurance. And I'm talking about this shit is like 50 to 70 grand, and he had it here in New York City.
What did he have?
A liver transplant.
What does this have to do with patient outcome? Does this have anything to do about people that need healthcare getting healthcare?
How do you not understand what he's saying?
It's a Mexican guy with a hospital gown on and just made up.
We're talking about the fact that you're talking about cutting costs in medical, but yet these people are getting help, and yet he had help. He had no insurance. Doesn't even speak English, and yet.
How do you know this?
No. I mean, like we said, if you go to an emergency room and you don't have insurance or anything, they're not going to say no. We're just going to let you die or whatever. But our point was,
insurance you can do without English.
Yeah, sure. People, okay, whatever. People probably seek less preventative care. People probably seek less preventative care when their healthcare costs are high. They don't want to go to the doctor to fix whatever issue they have until it's an actual emergency, and that ends up increasing costs on the taxpayers' end. And also, people without insurance, that's uncompensated care, and Medicare does have a program, or Medicaid, sorry, has a program.
You're talking about something
care.
specific.
I'm sure it's not all of it, but a lot of uncompensated care is on the taxpayer's bill at the end of the day.
You're talking about like a service, like a clinical value chain or something. I don't know what the right word is. And so, like, wouldn't there logically be a lot of compounding factors, like in that case?
I just want to clarify something. It's not like he just went to the emergency room. They're like, oh my God, you need a liver transplant. Okay, here, sir. It was not like that. The guy.
I'm being hyperbolic with my example, but no, I
But no,
understand.
actually, wait, non-fun. I got to concede to Mike. After hearing this story, I think we should privatize all healthcare. We can move on.
And Uncle Fatty to come in just to say, "Thou shalt not interrupt the Queen Tomato." Duh. And Chuck in Tennessee says, "Song."
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You keep me something. CaucSquatch, help me with the rest of the lyrics.
Never know, dear, how much I love you.
Flo, you have a lot of membership.
Take my sunshine away. And Mike 23 with the 20 Powder Dusty gifted membership. Congratulations to all of you lucky lottery winners. Yeah. Mike, you're cheating on me and I don't like it.
Thank you, Mike.
This is why Mike has comments and all the rest
after the
suck my dick.
I will also add, after the Inflation Reduction Act was passed, Medicare actually can negotiate down the price of like 10 drugs a year or something.
Yeah, that's
dude,
what I
10
thought.
drugs out of 90,000. Come on,
It's
that's
10
Yeah,
at
so
a time.
I understand, but
Not 10
yeah,
total.
10 at a time, 10 per year. And I think the amount increases over time. But
guys, that's a fart. Like what you
You're
really.
right. I wish we could negotiate more.
I totally agree, but I think that there has to
I
be that
disagree,
line
actually.
because we have more innovation for drugs and clinicals and all the things that we have here in our country than there is anywhere else in the world combined. So
I mean, I don't actually disagree with you there, but
it's fact.
The,
No, you
because
can't
we can
disagree with
negotiate
fact.
drug prices down. That's the reason we have more innovation because these pharmaceutical companies have higher expected profits. So they invest more.
It is, but there's there can be kind of a fine line, which is that's why most of these that's why the government had said to them, hey, listen, we also want to make sure, and they have these goodwill programs. I was telling Soy, I was like, I pay $335 or $350 a month out of pocket for my meds, and it would cost me $19 if I didn't have insurance. Like, but I can't lie and say I don't have insurance.
Why don't you just get rid of your insurance then?
Well, because my daughter needs it because of her cancer, and we're on a family plan.
I thought you said she got better.
It's not how cancer works, bro.
Yeah, they still have a lot of
not really how it works.
So-
and trust me on this: when you have cancer, you're not
Have you
going
tried this? Have you tried this? This is the Trump method. You go, cancer, you stop it right now, cancer. We're
Yeah.
done with you, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
We're not having
Absolutely.
any more of this. You go out of the body, okay?
Lumberjack, how's your daughter doing?
That was really good.
Lumberjack, how's your daughter? If I
I'm
could ask.
sorry.
How's your daughter doing?
Oh,
right
she's
now?
doing amazing. Thanks for asking. Yeah, we got our absolute miracle. She was diagnosed with a cancer that had a 94% death rate within 4 months, and so we were
Wow.
very blessed to be in the right area of the world, in America, where they only have 3 of these Croton machines, and so she did 10 rounds of chemo. You bitches. And she did
Zero.
Oh.
He's right to call me a bitch.
Dude, she's more of a man than I am.
She's more of a man than I am, and I gave birth, and I'm the one who made her. I was like, I made you, and I'm proud of that. Like, look at what I did.
God bless you.
But yeah,
What?
she's
Sir.
it was absolutely a miracle. But the cool thing about it is that instantly, with it being such a rare cancer, we were able to get doctors from all around the world to participate because it's so rare. But
wow.
thankfully, we were very blessed to be in New Hampshire because there's only 3 machines in the country they can give for the type of proton therapy that she needed. And one of them is in Boston. So we were very blessed from that perspective. And so for me, yeah, I'm all about innovation, but I'd like to see on the areas that, on some of the drugs, on some of that side, the reason that they're constantly going after the big drug, the big diseases, is because that gives them the biggest return. And so the what she was given for a cocktail for her chemo, they obviously didn't make anything for her disease. So it was very much relying on doctors, relying on team of people all around the world to
Is
say,
that called like
hey,
personalized? Is that called like personalized or?
so it's different, Ducky, and the reason that it's different is because
Yeah.
that is something. Was Ducky that asked that question? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
There's two different.
You're
yeah.
right. You're right. Yeah.
There's one that's based on. So there's one where they can actually derive things via DNA, but that's not even a factor once you have the cancer. It's much more what type of cancer is it? Is it soft tissue? Is it hard tissue? She had stage at 5 months old. She had stage 4. She had lung, liver, kidney, and
Yeah,
bone.
I was curious because I almost sent a startup through Founder Fuel in Montreal, which does a ton of like AI research. They fund a lot of AI research. So I was working with a genomic researcher from North Carolina. So we talked a bunch about I forgot what that this is probably why I didn't get funded, but we talked a bunch about like how personal healthcare and like these technologies just become instantly more available and stuff.
So Lumberjack, like, give me your link. I'm gonna send you some love.
Oh no! Please don't send me any money. I got plenty.
You're in
In fact, yeah, Lumberjack, send me.
I don't put it in my
Sarah, you can hate chatting me this. We distribute some of those millions.
You guys get away from my mic.
I do.
I'm the landlord as well.
Mike, don't listen to these people. They're all drunk.
All I had to do to have you was sign up for tier 2 'cause you're my Patreon girl, and your love for me depends on how much money that I pledge to you monthly.
I'm not
the best host in the business.
Listen, I don't know how many properties you have, but I'm also a landlord. But I appreciate the in terms of your recovery of your daughter. So I'm blessful for that.
Yes,
so,
very much.
A lot of people they live in this country and they shit on it, and they don't give a lot of credit to this country. This country has
Our
so
American
many...
right to shit on this country. What do you mean?
Precision medicine was the other one. Shit.
What was that?
It's my
there's
God-given
personalized
fucking American
precision
right to
medicine.
fucking shit on this. Oh wait, sorry.
Sure.
Hold on. I do want to ask.
I mean, look, at the end of okay.
Okay, I do want to ask Lumberjack, because it's going to be funny if I end up being more libertarian than you here.
Go ahead, non-fun.
You say like the reason all these pharmaceutical companies are going after the big diseases is because that's where all the big profits are. I would hope you would, Trump just announced his plan to attempt to negotiate down drug prices and cap them at the most favored nation price if they refuse. Now, I might be in favor of it if we were subsidizing R&D of drugs on the back end, because I've seen evidence that suggests that government spending on R&D, especially in medicine, is not actually particularly inefficient. Now, Trump doesn't seem to be doing that, though. He's just cutting the expected profits of pharmaceutical companies, and if we're not subsidizing R&D on the back end, well, I think a lot of these pharmaceutical companies are just not going to invest in research and development. They're not going to invent new drugs. That's a bad thing.
Can I say something, Lumberjack, with all due respect? I'm sorry, my good man. So did you hear that his daughter had cancer? Here you are talking about, no disrespect to you. Listen, I'm not trying to disrespect anyone. Forgive me. But do you understand, this guy's daughter had cancer and
really?
And we can talk about it. Yes.
Is that true? Lumberjack, can you confirm that your daughter had cancer? Can you tell us that?
Am I stupid? Okay, call me retarded. I'm sorry.
You are, bro. You're retarded.
Then I'm retarded.
I've been holding it back. I've been being nice all night, but Mike, you're kind of derailing. Non-pod had a great question.
I was trying to bring it back to the topic about Trump, and
Yes, go ahead, non-pod.
The way that I view the negotiation of the drugs is it should absolutely be based on. So I want free market. So in that free market, it is having a conversation with them, saying, "Hey, listen, I don't think we all want to start playing games with how long we allow that patent to stick around, eh? Maybe we don't let that patent stick for 7 years or 9 years. Maybe we just go 5 and go fuck yourselves." So that's where I think when you can't utilize all the things that the system gives you, and then when it comes for the payday, go fuck yourself. So that's where I believe that there is a happy medium. It can't be, hey, fuck you, you can't make any money. But it also can't be, hey, why is it that we pay more money than every other fucking place? And it can't be
You're a libertarian. You should know this. Price discrimination is efficient. Think about universities. Universities do a lot of price discrimination. You know, if you're
universities are toilets in the U.S.
Well, yeah, but you can at least understand conceptually, like private universities do a lot of price discrimination.
No, but there's a difference there.
But it also increases social welfare. So if I can just finish the example real quick.
All of those universities.
Go ahead, Non-Fun. Go ahead and finish.
Yeah, so universities have very high fixed costs, right? They have to build the building, they have to employ this professor. Essentially, you know, no matter how many students are coming in, or up to a certain margin of students, there's obviously a max capacity. But the marginal cost is very low, right? If they have the desk, they are paying the professor anyway. Well, any student, even if the student can only afford to pay, you know, 50% of the cost that the rest of the students pay, they're still going to add on the margin a lot more to profits than they are to cost. And this is an example where price discrimination, charging some people a lot more than others, not only increases the university's profits, but also increases social welfare because more people go to university. It's the same exact thing with drugs. Just replace the university with pharmaceutical companies, some students with rich countries, and other students with poor countries.
Yeah, so I think the challenge that you have in that argument is that when you look at the government and FAFSA, which is one of the biggest punchlines I've ever seen, is that what the FAFSA allows for, you know, it's basically government funding for students, and the challenge is that it fucks over the student. Because somebody goes and applies for FAFSA and it's based on their parents' income and what their parents make and what their household, you know, net worth is essentially. Are all three different contributing factors. The challenge that you have is in year one you get that awesome loan, right? The problem is you get the hey man, you're a handsome man. We're gonna give you a lot of money and we're gonna give it to you at a really low rate. Congratulations on that. And then we go to the second piece, which is year number two. Year number two kind of sucks because it's a little bit more expensive. But then year number three happens and it's holy shit, what the fuck, 11.9% if I want to continue my degree. That largely comes from the government not having any checks and balances and just saying no matter what the degree is in, no matter what university it is, it doesn't matter what the number.
It has to be accredited. It has to be accredited.
Listen, but that's
that actually restricts other tax.
That worked out really well for DeVry and all these other companies that were actually accredited and actually being, you know, complete and total jokes.
Lumberjack, this is
hold on, just real quick.
We may have Non-Fun asked this question.
The guy from DeVry who ended up starting a company. So, and we were at a company out of San Mateo, a tech startup at the time. So, you know, what's the data say?
Well, no, he worked in healthcare for 17 years, Doug. So data doesn't matter.
That's
you know, my point. You asked, you know, why do we pay so much more than other countries? I simply gave an example of universities where price discrimination not only increases that company's profits, but also increases social welfare, right? More people have drugs under price discrimination, and we have more research and development under price discrimination, and pharmaceutical companies invest more when they're able to price discriminate. That's a big reason why we pay more for drugs. Also, part of it is we get newer drugs, we get higher quality drugs, and Americans consume more drugs per capita compared to like any other country. So not all of it is even like this sort of like unjustified, like subsidizing the rest of the world. Some of it is just that we get cooler shit.
But I mean, sort of. But at the end of the day, if I'm the one that's actually going to write the check, then yeah, I bet your ass I'm going to fucking negotiate. And I want to negotiate something that's in the people's favor because that's who elected me, and that's why I'm here. I want to get something in their favor. So I think that where the drug companies have to recognize is when you're working with a government that giveth, they can also taketh away. And so something simple like going from 7 down to 5 years, how many billions of dollars does that cost the drug company? So I think negotiating with the government, it's not like you're negotiating with, you know, the lumberjack landlord who cares about his family. You're negotiating with the family of the US and the guys who make the rules and can take that away.
Lumberjack, I have to interrupt you. I'm really